the stock market, meaning companies, new highs.
I'm not fucking leaving. The show goes on. Nuts, they're nuts. They know nothing.
An online network called Internet.
Well, it's very hip to be on the internet right now.
Welcome, my degenerates. The rest of your life starts right now, here on Market Mania, the no bullshit approach to all financial markets, including TopShots, NFTs, cryptocurrencies, and of course, the largest casino in the world, the U.S. stock market. Joining me today is Brett Ritchie. I just got to bring him on the scene here real quick, and we're going to be talking about TopShot. Keeps dropping, doesn't seem to be any end in sight. We've also got a feather in our market cap as we look in on what Raoul Pal had to say about cryptocurrencies, kind of pushing against some of that FUD. But before we get into all of the, we also have a pick of the day, and I'd also like to mention we have a Matt Glantz special pick of the day. So even though he couldn't join us today, he was able to stop in and give us his favorite. We'll get to that. But of course, before we do, joining me here is Brett Ritchie to talk about GME and NFTs. They just keep pumping this stock. The meme stocks keep going up, and it seems to be all you need to do is say the word NFT these days, and you can watch your stock price go up. So, Brett, I was looking at this a little bit. Can you take us through this article and headline and just see, is this a flash in the pan, another pop due to headlines, or is there really some value being built under the GME brand here?
I love it. I think it's a great move. I think that whether it's a flash in the pan or how successful it is really going to be up to GameStop, but they're positioned, in my opinion, in an amazing spot. Like the sort of pump that happened for them earlier this year, like you can't pay for that type of branding benefit. And I think the best part is GameStop didn't get blamed for the stock's eventual crash back to earth. You can point fingers at Robinhood or the banks. So it's like they almost had this perfect scenario where a ton of retail interest came on board with their product, their stock, and then you can like point at the evil banks as the reason instead of GameStop or like people themselves. So they're in a great spot. I love NFTs. I'm super bullish on NFTs as a whole. Again, like I think picking individual projects is much more challenging. Again, like most of it's going to be worthless. Some are going to be worth a lot. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipeline. So GameStop's in a great spot because they have this tremendous brand and they can sort of position themselves as like a platform for NFTs. So they're betting on the space, which I think is a great bet instead of necessarily individual projects. So I love seeing this out of GameStop.
Well, I got to say I'm surprised to see this pop. I thought GameStop had its moment, and then it was going to go sideways while the positions on either side of the price were going to wait each other out for it to eventually crash down. But to see it pop like this, I got to admit I didn't expect. I know Roaring Kitty doubled down on his position on GME, and I think he's in AMC too, which is also just soaring today. But if he's not, I'm sure he wishes he was. So these meme stocks, there just doesn't seem to be anything stopping them. Now, there was something else in this article that I thought was interesting. They said they're going to build on Ethereum specifically. They're looking for Solidity, React, and Python designers. Solidity, of course, being the language built for Ethereum developers. Now, that can go across a couple of different projects, but Ethereum is the main one. Are you sure? Are you sure they've done their homework in Ethereum? Because I'm not sure Ethereum's ready for a big-time project, the likes of which GameStop might want to be doing. I know you, with Blitzpick, decided to build on Matic and Polygon. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, so it's all the same, essentially. Like the development work, whether it's Binance Chain, Ethereum, Matic, Polygon, it's basically the same code base for the most part. Like the work's almost identical between those projects. So you could even I would say we're not even 100% on Matic Polygon, but like we're likely. And again, like the work to get there is the same, as long as you're staying within that sort of Ethereum virtual machine ecosystem, projects that are using that. Like Solana, we looked at, there's a little bit, there's some differences there in terms of how they do things. So I think they're not necessarily going to be Ethereum mainnet. Like you can do NFTs straight on Polygon right now. You have Decentraland is Zedrun. Like there's a lot of NFT type of projects that are being built in that Matic Polygon world. And so I think for GameStop, they don't need to rush into anything, right? They need the devs that know how to build in this space, but they can like let the layer twos sort of breathe a little bit. But I mean, Matic, they're doing a lot of things. Like they're with Infura and Truffle now, which are two of the, I would say, like almost necessary building blocks for Ethereum. They integrated with Polygon now. So there's a lot of work being done in the layer two space. I would expect GameStop would probably get involved there, potentially both layer one and layer two. But yeah, retail is going to want to be on layer two.
Well, this is all just super interesting. It's the collision of so many headlines, meme stocks, NFTs, crazy 2021 market mania. That's why we named this show Market Mania, because that's what we're showing and seeing everywhere we look. Not the least of which, of course, is the other NFT project that captures so many headlines, TopShots. Now, I know you've been following this very closely. You were very bullish on this early on, and now we're starting to see these prices slip and continue to slip. What's behind this, Brett?
Basically, Dapper flooded the market just pretty relentlessly over the last few months, and it's really turned like a lot of people off. I have three friends I got into. They all put like 10K in, and they were good for maybe another like 10 to 50K. And they're just so disillusioned. They're just cashing out and they're done with it. So I love TopShot. I love the product. I think that the number one concern people had was like Dapper just over flooding the market with the product, which ended up happening. I think they just scaled so fast that it's easy to say what I would have done differently, and I'm only one user type there. But they really just jammed out a ton of product, and it kind of culminated in this 100,000 packs of like this rare 1,800 each, 50 different moment like dunk set that no one was really asking for. And then since then, the market, a lot of people are just up in arms. So I will say this: if you like some of the long-term moments that are out there, I think it's a reasonable time to go buy. Again, they've still raised at this multi-billion-dollar valuation. Like there's a path out of here, which is to pump the brakes on the new content. Like the new users were basically only interested in free money, or a lot of them, and so that just sits in the marketplace and sort of sinks the whole market. So I'm still bullish, but there's definitely, it's fair to question some of the decisions made on the content side over there.
Well, you sent this other link to me here. If it loads, Dapper Labs NBA TopShot has crossed the 1 million user mark. So it does seem the users are growing, but they're kind of probably small, curious players. Is this a strong enough base to reinvigorate this project? If they pull back some of the cards, continue to add users, create real scarcity and some... I mean, do they almost work against themselves if they need to create scarcity and have to create less product to sell as the user base grows just to keep themselves relevant? Is that a right way to think about this?
I think that's fair to some extent. One, like this 1 million users, it's maybe like 10,000 engaged users, maybe another few 100,000 that show up for packs, and then another several 100,000 that are probably maybe signed up once, or they're not currently using the platform. And that's like fine. That's to be expected, right? It's not a product for everybody. But I will say, like, the sentiment from the most passionate users right now is like very negative, and they do feel a little burned. Like almost anyone that joined in that February hype, from there on, you're almost guaranteed to be down. And like, sort of given the content that Dapper put out, it was almost going to be 100%. You were going to lose money, which is fine, but it doesn't leave people feeling great.
Well, this feels a little bit like the early days of the internet, that massive run-up, then the dot-com bust, then the steady, slow accumulation build, and the world-changing infrastructure that came out from underneath that. That's kind of where my head's at with all of these projects, but, you know, it's hard to tell. This is a little different than that in a lot of fundamental ways.
So the thing is, I will say, I mean, it's they have the NBA partnership. They have a phenomenal product and a good team, at least in some areas. The tech scaling that they solved, I think, was pretty impressive when they like 100x and they got the platform working almost always when they had some issues, which every company has issues when you scale 100x. People were complaining back then. I was like, YouTube, PokerStars, DraftKings, they all had issues scaling. So anyway, I think they can turn it. It depends. Like if I thought after the All-Star, I didn't think they would put this throwdown set out like that. Really, I just don't even understand the logic behind it. So like they can optimize for the long term, right? They raised at a $7 billion valuation. They have like who's who of investors behind them. They really don't need to optimize for short-term revenue. So I think that I trust they'll figure it out. I just chalk any kind of errors down to scaling differences, but you can't put the genie back in the bottle, right? With the moments that are already out, you can't. Oops, sorry, Right. So they gotta navigate a path forward now from like a flooded marketplace.
All right, I got one more question before we move on from this. Stephen Northrup from chat is asking, TopShots is fake crypto. You can't move the moments to your own wallet. Do they need to solve that, or is that not a valid concern?
It's on their roadmap. I think they have other issues. I think it's fine being this extremely centralized NFT project for now. You sort of know that going in. It's a great onboard to the masses into NFTs. Like you look at, say, Bored Ape Yacht Club, so many people that got involved in the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which is like a more real NFT. It's on Ethereum. You can just trade it on OpenSea. A lot of them got their start in TopShot as their first NFT and then moved on into other areas. So I think TopShot's a great onboarding into the space. It's on their roadmap to let people trade their NFTs. But the other thing is it's on Flow, which is basically a brand new blockchain TopShot created. It doesn't have anywhere near the infrastructure of Ethereum, right? There is no OpenSea. There's no MetaMask. So even if you could use your own NFTs off of TopShot, there's nothing to do with them. Those products and services don't exist yet. So again, like see what it looks like in a couple of years or 6 months. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to build some of this out, but they said they would do it. I think the only reason not to would be for some sort of regulatory issue, or if the NBA was like, hey, we don't want that. But I think they'll let you do it. It's just like you can't do anything with them yet because it's on Flow.
Well, it's such an interesting project. It sort of straddles the perfect use case for NFTs between centralization, decentralization, popular appeal. As goes TopShot, I think goes the NFT marketplace. So we'll keep a close eye on it. Another look at another system that has a lot of users that can go potentially very awry very fast is the whole crypto space itself. And we've been experiencing so much FUD coming at us the last few weeks. We've certainly talked about it on this show plenty. But in the wake of that has come some of the defenders of the crypto space, some of the likely names out there. One of the big ones is Raoul Pal. He runs a YouTube podcast called Real Vision Finance. I recommend everyone check that out. It's very cool, always insightful. Not as insightful as us, of course, but you got to get it where you can get it. He had a great thread here. I just wanted to go over this and put this out there. Something to get your head around. A major asset class crashed 42% in 14 days, wiping out more than 1.02 trillion in value in an orgy of liquidation of people up to 100x levered with very low regulation. Many tokens fell up to 70%, including unregulated lending and borrowing biz. It had a major VAR shock, which is, I don't know what that means. This guy's so much smarter than me. I'm sure that's bad. Test, and nothing happened. Leverage liquidation was offset by over-collateralization. No one was left holding the baby. No firm went under. The Fed didn't need to step in. DeFi didn't break and carried on near normal. There was no daisy chains of collateral losses. There were no collateral pressures. Stable coins remained stable. A few exchanges went down for an hour or two. No exchange big loss occurred. No need to mutualize losses. No protocol failed. No firms needed rapid funding. I mean, on and on and on. No one had open-ended losses. The system didn't break. It offered zero systemic risk to the broader financial world. Speculators lost money, and that's it. Now, he says this in his final thread. This is what I saw first in crypto in 2012: a new anti-fragile financial system that doesn't break in times of stress, where ownership of assets is clear and losses are not mutualized to taxpayers. This was a big 2 weeks for crypto and the future of the financial system. So this is a great lens by which to view the most recent crash. It really did expose the anti-fragile nature of the system we're working with. And I just think that's really the ultimate use case. And even yesterday, if you go check yesterday's show, Mac Lance gave me a lot to think about. And he also asked us very sincerely why we believed in crypto. And I think Raoul Pal does a great job explaining another angle of this that just seems like we can't escape how anti-fragile the system appears. So, Brett, I'm sure you're in agreement, but do you see anything that that maybe this is a little too Pollyanna of Raoul, or does this really spell out the use case and the value case?
I think I agree. I think it's a great thread. I wouldn't even want to be negative on it, but since you asked, the only thing I would say is exchanges were down and fees were really high, right? So like the infrastructure, like the core product, they all functioned as expected, but with like both DeFi, the fees were insane, and then CeFi, some might call it centralized finance, the Coinbase, Binance exchanges went down at key times, which is a recurring theme in crypto, that the exchanges have conveniently gone down, likely just due to they can't handle the influx in users, but at critical moments they've gone down. So people, like if your money was on Coinbase, you didn't have the freedom to transact the way that you wanted necessarily, depending what time you went. So that would be my only like pushback on a very good thread, is that while like the underlying technology worked, a lot of the sort of services in the ecosystem built up around it didn't. And then again, the fees are they're an issue on Ethereum, but obviously there's a lot of stuff going on to and Bitcoin too, but there's less going on Bitcoin to combat the fees.
Well, yeah, I think you hit on a couple of important points. I think the most important thing is that all this did was clear out the leverage players, and it didn't require the Fed to step in. It cleared out the lettuce hands, of which I don't really think there are many. I think anybody who's really interested in spot BTC is just a hodler. This just cleared out, people that were over their skis, and the world moved on, and we're going to see this again and again and again. I still believe BTC will be at around 100K by quarter 4 of this year. That's what I want to have happen. That could be definitely be biased, but
my opinion in general on leverage trading is it's just gambling. Like if you really know what you're doing, it's different. I don't, and it's volatile enough. There's massive gains to be made in crypto. You can look at TopShot, you can look at CryptoPunks, you can look at like a lot of these coins, Link, Solana, that kind of came out of nowhere and completely mooned. So there's a lot of gains to be made just buying spot. I think that if you want to use leverage, it's better I would consider it as part of like my gambling bankroll, or however you want to structure it, because the worst thing you can do is like blow yourself up being over leveraged. If you believe in the technology, you don't want to put yourself in that spot where you're taking on too big of a risk. And again, there's all these sophisticated players that can see what the interest is or the open interest, or I don't even know what to call it, in the leverage world, right? And they'll make these coordinated moves to wipe out leverage, right? It has nothing to do with whether or not Bitcoin got better or worse. It's about, do we have enough sort of power to move this market to wipe out the leverage? I mean, a lot of the exchanges that offer leverage will trade against their own users. So you're going, especially if you're from the US, you're like VPNing into some offshore exchange that's now kind of using your information against you. Personally, it's not for me, although like if I were to do it, it would be from the lens of this is gambling. And I might have conviction in it, like betting on the sporting game, like the Pirates I think are really going to win. That's how I look at leverage.
There's nothing more exciting than riding a perp contract on FTX just to see where it's going to end up.
It's gambling though.
Solana pump badge from FTX, so they've gamified it too. So god damn it.
All right. Yeah.
Speaking of our addiction, we need our medicine, Brett Ritchie, because this
Yes,
is
sir.
the not investment advice. Do your own research. Market Mania pick of the day.
Drop it like it's hot. Everybody stack 'em, stack 'em to the top.
All right, Sharp Richie, what you got for me today?
I'm rolling with GameStop. It's already jumped a bunch, so I wish we started a little earlier, I guess, last night. But yeah, I think the NFT play is genius. It fits perfectly with kind of the wave that they caught earlier this year, which to me I think is just such a tremendous branding event for them that it changed the fortunes of the entire business. And I think this is a smart move with a lot of upside. So I like GameStop.
All right, and coming up is the Matt Glantz pick of the day. But before we give you that one, I will give you my humble offering of CPER. It's a copper ETF. And I think this is a sort of thing where you can buy a call dated sometime next year and just let it ride. And once you see it past that 5-6% mark, sell it, collect your profit. I just see copper as such a safe thing right now. It's needed in the electronics that people are scrambling to get right now, and it's just useful, and it's rare, and it's metal, so I like it. All right, as promised, here comes the Matt Glantz pick of the day. He gave us OIH, which is an oil services ETF. He also seems to be on the commodities super cycle bandwagon here, and oil's a pretty safe bet that you really won't let the price of that drop too much. You'll always see a tanker get stuck in a canal, or a tanker get shot, or something crazy happen. They just don't let the price of oil drop. So I see that's pretty safe. I'm not sure Glantz would agree with my conspiratorial take, but he's pretty happy about OIH, so get some. And with that, that's going to do it for Market Mania today. Coming in on the chat, where the hell is MyCon? That is a great question. You're stuck with me for now. MyCon will be back next week sometime. We'll be getting the band back together, don't you worry. We're in the middle of turning this operation into something bigger, better, bolder, and we can't do it without your help. So if you could go ahead, like, subscribe, and share, comment, let us know how good we're doing, let us know how much you prefer MyCon. All of that activity helps us out. And then also go to Mindac Gold, talk to Mindac Jack, get your special pricing when you mention Market Mania. We will try and do this again a few more times this week, but if we can't, just keep your head down out there. Things are flying, but we will, if we can, see you tomorrow, if there is a tomorrow. But for now, it's lights out.
I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have. I never sleep. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine.
Time to right the wrong. So your hands in the air if you like the song. If you're going over there, take it twice as long. Last time ain't talking about Tylenol. Oh, I bet you'd like to know. You can come around the way if you're trying to go. If you want to switch lanes for a pot of gold, or a domino, out of control. The usual. Get mad cause I'm looking at your girl.
Switch it up.
I do it so much louder than everything you've heard. Everybody heard, got the word that the world wasn't turning. Act like you're in a jury. Power of attorney, wow, we're turning. Can't lie like Mississippi burning. Don't act like you're in a daze. I imagine it look the other way. Couldn't clear space in my mind, was afraid of the time. Strobe light, like in the moonlight. I'm in the mood right now, how about tonight? My interview's tight now, I was